What's going on, guys? UFC 273 recap from Jacksonville, Florida. If you're a capper, if you're a gambler, if you're a betting man, you know, you can't get them right all the time. You're going to have a bad event eventually. This one was kind of felt like it was a long time coming. We've been lucky to go like 6 or 7 straight UFCs without losing a top ticket. So like the damage that you inherit, not that bad. Not this case. Not only did we lose on the top ticket, just the rest of the reads were not quite there. The 50-50 fights didn't go our way. The close decisions didn't go our way, and a couple just bad spots in general. So anyways, can't hide from your losses. This one was not a good event. They were fun fights. We're going to break down what exactly went wrong, and hopefully we can polish things off and get back on to our winning ways. Julio Arce versus Daniel Santos. This one was all right. Julio Arce, if you watched anything on Daniel Santos, and there wasn't a ton of tape limited, is that everything he throws is just hooks. He throws a whole bunch of hooks. He comes straight forward. He's not exactly the fastest guy, but he just winds up these big, powerful shots. And against the Brazilian regional scene guys, yeah, he gets away with it. He can beat them. He went to Russia. He had mixed success over there, but dude, large to his aggressive style, he can get a victory. But Arce, that jab, this guy's kryptonite. Arce has an excellent jab. He's got excellent footwork. He's got good enough cardio. He stays to the outside. 135 pounds, you'd think he'd be okay. Is he a little bit chinny? Potentially. And then he goes out and he misses weight by 5.5 pounds, right? 135 or 136.5. So, you know, he had a bad weight cut. Stick with the pick, and then Arce delivered just like the tape would suggest. He just stayed to the outside, uses jab, uses kicks, superior movement, superior hand speed. Beat him with the punch. He just had to matador him. I had scored 30-27 for Arce. I thought it was a very clean performance. Could see 29-28. Maybe Santos won the first round. You know, maybe Wiley Cat was able to land some decent shots, back him up for the most part. But I think Arce just found his rhythm, you know, played matador to the bull all night long, won it pretty clean. Of course, you wish you had more investment in Arce and less investment in some of these other fights coming up. But yeah, because he missed weight by 0.5 pounds, he's coming off his first career knockout loss. His chin never looked super good. And the Santos got a bit of a wild card because he hadn't fought in 2 years and looks like he's got legitimate power. All those were reasons that you didn't put him higher up. But the guy looked clean. This was a good start to the night. Unfortunately, it didn't snowball positively. Piera Rodriguez versus Kay Hansen. I have a decent amount of faith in Kay Hansen to get the job done. I think that all 3 women MMA bouts on the card, the underdogs got a decent enough chance, probably get it done by decision. Kay Hansen, a good shot here. She got to use her wrestling. She got to get this fight to the ground. She got to be aggressive, use her combination boxing to close that distance. And for the first round, you know, again, she's shooting the takedown. She does a pretty good job of being aggressive, staying in her face, and getting Rodriguez down to the mat. Wins the first round. I'm not thinking anything's going terrible at this point. And then it starts to go bad. I mean, I don't know what it is about Kay Hansen, but if you watch pretty much all of her fights, the Jinyu Frey fight, she was down, she got an armbar. But since then, the Corey McKenna fight, she wins the first round, and then things kind of fall apart in the second and the third. You can make an argument she won the fight, but she ends up losing a close split decision, but she definitely won the first round. The Jasmine Jasvidius fight, she wins the first round, right? She takes Jasmine down, she has superior top control, she loses the second and third round. This fight was the same thing. She won the first round against Rodriguez, got her down, established a little bit of top control, and the second and third, she's just not able to do it. It's like her game is, I wouldn't say rudimentary, but kind of is. Like, she's just not able to adapt and switch from one plan to the next. It's as if she went in a game plan of just kicking, that's all she'd be able to do the whole night. She wouldn't be able to have a game plan that revolves around kicking and then mixing up your hands and mixing in the takedowns. She might have good skills in every individual martial art, but her ability to blend it all together, not very good. Ring IQ, not very good. And now the 7-6 pro record, I mean, she's only 22 years old. She can still be good. She can still make improvements. It just seems like she's probably better suited for a lower level organization for the time being. Rack up some more experience, get some confidence, figure out what you need to improve on. And for Rodriguez, she's a little bit older, a little bit more mature. I believe she's 30 years old, so this was a good debut for her. She showed her resilience. Like, that's something we knew she had. She fought for 5 rounds for the LFA title, got a 5th round stoppage, and then on the Contender Series, the fight's pretty close, till about a minute left. She really perseveres, pulls through, gets a takedown, and ends the fight on top. So Rodriguez is good at making those adjustments when she needs to. She's willing to bite down on her mouthpiece. She's willing to slug. She's willing to be aggressive. Her chin holds out. Her cardio checks out. Yeah, she's decent. She's going to be a problem for a lot of the girls in the division. So solid win for Rodriguez. Terrible fight for Hansen. And that's something I did to myself because Kay Hansen has not looked good in her last 2 fights. She has not looked good in any of her UFC fights. Even the Jinyu Frey fight, she's arguably down 2-0. At least loses the first round, maybe the second round, due to the fact that she's getting boxed up and just can't get the fight around, and then hits an armbar in the third. So you forget about it. The McKenna fight, Tim makes a ton of mistakes. I give her a pass for whatever reason. The Jessamine Jasudavicius fight, when I watched that one live, I remember thinking to myself, never again. And then here, I do it again. So no one to blame but myself, but solid victory for Rodriguez. Speaking I did to myself, Aleksei Oleinik versus Jared Vanderaa. So everybody and their mother is saying, don't take Jared Vanderaa. Not because he doesn't have a chance at winning, but because he's a bum, certified bum. His regional show career shows him getting submitted by Lamar Odom. Not Lamar Odom, what was his name? Josh Odom, I think. Back in LFA, he gets submitted by Ferreira. The guy's supposed to be a BJJ black belt, but whenever he gets taken down in the UFC, he gets smashed on. There's very little to like about his game. And then the Arlovski fight, finally, here's a fight where the guy won't just take you down and smash on you, and he still can't even win that one, right? Gets that pointed by Andre Arlovski, rightfully so. Arlovski did win that fight. So what do you do with Jared Vanderaa? What do? I use him one more time. And I use him fairly high up. Not because of just some supreme confidence, but this card fell off rapidly. Everybody liked the top 3 plays, which not even that worked. But everybody was kind of agreeing at the top of it. It's at the bottom of it. There was all these just sneaky plays both sides. This is a 50-50 middling heavyweight fight. But Aleksei Oleinik's 44, and he's giving up 20 to 30 pounds. What's he going to do? Take him down and scarf hold him? Well, I'll be damned. And it wasn't like, no way could this happen. It was one of those things very similar to Paul Craig, right? When Paul Craig fights, it's like, yeah, I guess he could hit a triangle. But more often than not, he's going to get punched out here. What he's doing, he's getting punched out. Even Nikita Krylov's got the guy half unconscious there, wakes back up and hits a triangle choke. It's like, holy crap, he did it again. And I'm always the losing end of this stuff. Just don't believe in it enough. Can't happen again, right? Aleksei Oleinik's going to hit one more scarf hold for old time's sake, right? Jared Vanderaa, bum stuff. You knew he was going to try to take you down, which I guess your wrestling defense is just not good enough to keep the fight upright. But when you have those little opportunities to maybe just get up, or create some distance and stand back up, that's what you need to do. He's got 1 round of cardio. He's going to come really hard at you for that 1 round. He's going to be crafty for that 1 round, and then he's expected to fade off. Does in all of his fights, but he's very tries to take his back, or I guess he does take Oleinik's back. It's like, why are you engaging in these grappling exchanges with him? In a short time thereafter, Aleksei Oleinik takes the win, and he should have taken Vanderaa's black belt right there. This is not for you, pal. Not for you, pal. So Vanderaa is very likely released from the organization. Aleksei Oleinik, I don't even know if he wants to keep fighting on. It seems like he wants to keep fighting on. You owe him fights after that, but god damn, who do you match him up with? I don't know, but there's apparently still winnable fights for him out there. So that one hurts extra. I got a shoey bet with Paul. Of course, lost some funds on it. And even my buddy Ariel and stuff, I had a few good people reach out to me being like, nah, you probably shouldn't go on Vanderaa, dude. Aleksei Oleinik sneaky. And they even all said the same thing. Scarf hold, neck crank. So when it was a scarf hold neck crank, I almost wish it was a rear naked because he fished for the rear naked. I almost wish it was that because not only could they tell me I told you so, it was like a double. I told you so. So that one stung. Mike Malott versus Mickey Gall. Here's another spot that I screwed up in that, you like Mike Malott. You don't necessarily agree with the line. And he hasn't fought beyond the first round in 7 years. And he has not looked good going beyond the first round. You only just seen it the one time in the Thomas Dieng fight. And it's a very long time ago. So you got to go with a lot of narrative, Yeah, he's probably still the supremely talented guy that he was supposed to be. Yeah, the move up to 170 pounds from 145, jumped up 2 weight classes, right? The move to 170 probably helped him out. Now I'm to cut all that weight, and he's probably healthier. I don't know. It's a lot of probably. It's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts. So he ends up being the play. Can't go against my guy, Mike Malott, representing Canada. But the way he made it look, this guy, he's always been. He was always supposed to be that next big guy from Canada. He has the skills. Everybody that's ever trained with him just raves about his talent. The guy can wrestle. The guy can grapple. He's excellent jiu-jitsu. He's got great striking technique. He's smart. He's got good ring IQ. He paces himself well, even though you don't see him fight professionally beyond a round. As far as rounds in the gym goes, the guy can do it all. Proper Mike Malott, give a name given into him. He used to be the main attraction, but Uriah Faber gives the name proper Mike Malott. Coach at Alpha Male, does a good job resurrecting his career in martial arts without actually fighting. But the guy's still got the goods. And Mickey Gall at this point is 30 years old, has 10 UFC fights, has fought in a decent level of competition in the UFC. And at no point does somebody just walk in there and knock him out in the first round violently like that. He's at Stanford MMA now. He's getting good rounds. He's got Ian Garry on the card. These guys are all ready to go. It's still good stuff from Mike Malott. His striking is good, and that was not even his best path to victory. Like, his grappling is where it's at. His wrestling, okay. Canadians, we don't have great wrestling, but all the time at Alpha Male has given him solid enough wrestling, and his grappling top notch. But the striking's still there. And whereas I was a little bit deep down concerned, maybe he doesn't have that same punch resistance. Like, you've never really seen him get hit. The few times that he has, Hakeem knocked him out. He got rocked by Solomon Renfro. Like, maybe you can get him, but Mickey Gall's just not the guy. Mickey Gall never really developed, I don't think. I'll give him props, though. He's out the whole way down, and then he's awake again. It was crazy. It's crazy how a guy can just, like, wake up and be with it. But this one showed his limitations, right? Like, you're not a good wrestler. You're not a good striker. You're not particularly great at jiu-jitsu, even though that's your foundational base. You're not beating the experienced guys in the division. You're not beating these newcomers in the division. And as Manpreet and I spoke about on the prop show, Mickey Gall's got a base of like 52,000 and 52,000. If he wins a fight in the UFC, makes 104,000, which, the guy's definitely worth it. But in the grand scheme of things, Mike Malott's making 10,000 and 10,000. The UFC's not going to keep a guy like Mickey Gall around. They tried, but all of his wins are over guys that I believe are now released from the promotion. And all of his losses are not even to like high-end guys. Mike Perry, Diego Sanchez. Mike Malott could be high-end, but the fact that that's his UFC debut and he stops you in the first round, probably more than a big setback for one Mickey Gall. But great to see the Canadian Mike Malott roll on. And if anybody deserves it, definitely him. Raquel Pennington versus Aspen Ladd, my baby Aspen Ladd. So we didn't get the first underdog shot on the women's MMA fight. Sure, Kay Hansen fights a terrible ring IQ plan, but Aspen Ladd, no, okay, she's our dog number 2. Hopefully she just fights with a proper game plan. And Raquel Pennington, she's rugged. She's good in the clinch. She's a decent enough striker. Like, I can't say she's any, outstanding in one area, but she's tough and she's scrappy and she's physical and she does well. The first 2 rounds, I don't know what Aspen Ladd's thinking. Like, she just lets the rounds slip away from her. She falls into an 0-2 pocket. I think it's pretty clear to everybody that it's 0-2. Aspen Ladd seems to think it's 1-1 maybe. Like, I don't know what she's thinking. Goes out in the 3rd round, wins the 3rd round, right? Good 3rd round for her, even though didn't do a whole much. She, mostly just clung on to her, couldn't really take her down. Landed a little bit of strikes, but it wasn't like it was a great 3rd round. It was just finally the 1st round that she had won. And then she's like all happy with it. Walks over to her corner, nods her head like, yeah, I'm good with that. They announced the decision and she's shocked, but I don't know what to say. She's my baby in the sense that, I like me some Aspen Ladd. But it's not as if I just bank a whole bunch of money on her. I'm betting her. I'm blindly just betting Aspen Ladd. I just thought as an underdog this week, she had a legitimate chance. I thought she could have put together a proper game plan and gotten the job done. Back at 135, made the weight. Looked like she was in decent enough shape. Just again, just didn't pull the trigger in some certain spots. And I can't take anything away from Raquel Pennington. I think this is a 4-fight winning streak for her now. This is probably the best win in that 4 fights. So, a legitimate one. And she's tough, man. She just keeps herself in the conversation all the time, right? She's going to give you 3 rounds. She's tough. If you got an upcoming prospect that needs some ring time, she's the perfect person for it. If you need a contender that needs a bounce back, she's the perfect person for it. And she keeps stringing these wins together. She's inevitably going to get her back into some type of meaningful contention match. But solid stuff for her to keep it going. And then for Ladd, I just don't know what you do with her. At one point, she was just a legitimate prospect, super young, great style. And weight cutting issues have kind of always been maybe a bit of a problem for her. But the last 3 or 4 fights, the wheels are starting to fall off. And you can make excuses. A Jermaine Durandamy fight that adds a bad weight cut. And you try to make excuses for another spots and here and there. But the Dorma Dumont fight, you're moving up a weight class, and it got changed to a 5 rounds and this and that. But against this Pennington fight, it's like was a winnable fight for her that she just didn't do what she needed to do. So yeah, it's a tough one. At this point, I'm already getting killed on the card, so it's just another disappointment. But in my mind, it's I got Peter Yan, Volkanovski, and Chimaev coming up. So this other stuff, it sucks. Not a very good card so far. But yeah, there's bigger stuff hopefully coming, right? Anthony Hernandez versus Josh Fremd. Josh Fremd was another dog spot I thought had a legitimate chance. Plus 160, trains in Colorado. He's an altitude guy, has good enough cardio, fought for LFA a number of times, and seems like his striking's okay, his wrestling's okay, his grappling's okay. Everything he does is all right. He's got that one notable loss to Gregory Rodriguez where he gets absolutely knocked out. But even then, he was a minus 270 favorite of the guy going in. Oddsmakers liked him. People liked him. He just had that one setback. Since then, straightened up the ship, got 2 wins, making his UFC debut on short notice. But again, plus 160, I think he's going to have a chance. Hernandez just fought Way better than I anticipated he would. When people made a joke, they're like, oh, he's like middleweight Cain Velasquez. And I thought it was because of the resemblance, but he fought like a middleweight Cain Velasquez. He was relentless. He just kept going hard for these takedowns, would get them, take the back, look for the guillotine choke, control them every step of the way. Fremd's a big boy. You saw that at the weigh-ins, like he was noticeably bigger. And he's just getting muscled around by Hernandez fairly easily. Now, I thought he did an excellent job of escaping all the guillotine chokes in the first round. I thought he did an excellent job of getting back up, but at no point did it look to me like Hernandez was slowing down. Unbelievable. Second round, Hernandez comes out, fresh as a daisy, takes him back down, and proceeds to beat the crap out of him. This round's a little more interesting because as he's beating the crap out of him, he tries one of these top-sided guillotine chokes again, gives up a bad position, ends up on top. Fremd basically secures a takedown, ends up on top, ends up in like side control, and then he lands a little bit of ground and pound, maybe gets like a minute and a half of top control. The fight gets back up. He lands a series of decent strikes. You might be inclined to give him that round. As somebody who had Fremd, mind you, everything I had Fremd on, all those two, they're all dead. But I still want to get some wins here. I don't want to be the bozo who gets killed on half the card, which I end up getting killed on half the card. You still want your read to be proper here, right? So it's like, all right, Fremd, this is a better round for you. I think you may have won that round, but to be honest, I scored it for Hernandez just because he had dominated the first like 3 minutes. He had like big ground and pound. He had a couple decent submission attempts. Fremd ended up on top. He landed some decent strikes when they got back standing. Just wasn't enough for me. So now we need a Fremd finish, and it finally looks to me like Hernandez might be tiring a little bit. They come out in this third round, and Hernandez just keeps doing what he's got to do. Like Fremd had some moments. He landed some decent strikes. The guy fought off every takedown. For a guy that had a wrestling base, his takedown defense is terrible. But to be honest, his scrambles were good. His defensive grappling was good. His ability to get back up momentarily was good. And then Hernandez would just take him back down, rinse and repeat. Maybe I didn't do my full due diligence on this. I was big on Fremd trains at altitude, and that when it got to those later rounds, even though he was on short notice, he would be able to pull through over Fluffy Hernandez, who almost all of his fights are early finishes, right? So what his gas tank really looked like. He was actually trained at elevation as well. He's been in Colorado. So cardio checked out. He fought a sound game plan. He grinded it up. He got the win. Can't take anything away from there. Garry versus Darian Weeks. Garry, beginning of the week, don't want no part of it. As the week goes by, it's like, this is not the spot to fade him. He ends up being the fourth most confident guy. He was on the top ticket, first guy on the second ticket, sorry. First guy on the second ticket. So we got him as like our fourth most confident play on the card. And he's like the fourth biggest favorite on the card. So he should go out there. The UFC's made him the featured prelim for a reason. They like this kid. He's good looking. He's good on the mic. He's got a flashy enough style. He's still only 24 years old. They want to build him up. And Weeks is just the lamb being fed to the slaughter. But again, I mean, for a lot of people that thought don't count Weeks out, he could pull this one off. He didn't, but I think he presented all of the issues that people thought he would. Like Garry might be a good prospect, but he's not some ultra prospect, at least not now. He's not super refined right now. He's not going to be a contender right now. It doesn't mean he can't grow into that because, again, he's so young. But this was good. It was good for him to go out there and get 3 hard rounds and where he mostly can – I thought he mostly dictated all the action. Weeks had a couple spots here and there. He pressed him up against the cage. He fished for a couple takedowns. He landed a couple shots, but just the volume wasn't there. The aggression wasn't there. The takedowns obviously weren't there. And through that, no top control. Not enough to swing any of the rounds in his favor for the most part. But I don't think I was like super impressed with Garry. Again, young, could get better, but they're going to have to feed him half a dozen more guys like this so that he can really get that building into him. Otherwise, I think he's going to run into his limits fairly quickly. But it's up to the UFC's match. The fact that he's already the featured prelim over a lot of some of these other notable names, like Oleinik's on the card, like why isn't a guy like that featured prelim, right? The fact that they're already promoting Garry, he's undefeated, they're pushing that narrative. Like they'll probably feed him to the wolves a little bit too soon. And we'll see how he reacts when he faces those situations. But this was a good win, not a great win. Mark Madsen versus Vince Pichel. So on a night where pretty much nothing's going right, you got a feeling that maybe Paul's legendary streak could be in jeopardy. But we're riding out with Vince Pichel. I mean, I think he's going to win the fight, right? Even going back, I don't think any of the reads were particularly wrong. I knew he'd get taken down. I knew he'd lose the first round. It was all about if Madsen was going to tire out, Pichel could work his way back into it. And I think Madsen did what he had to do to win a prize fight, right? A 15-minute, 3-round, 10-point must system. He did enough to win that. But in like my heart, I don't really know if he won like the fight, right? Because the first round, Madsen, again, he's got the takedowns. Vinc Pichel is taking his time. He's a little bit slow in that first round. I think he's trying to find like his distance, trying to find his timing, but he's not overly committing to anything. It's not a very good first round. He gives up a couple takedowns. That's a Mark Madsen round. I'm not disagreeing with that. Going into the second round, looks like Pichel's starting to find his rhythm a little bit. I think he does a better job of stuffing some of those Madsen takedowns. He backs him up. He lands some good shots. Madsen does take him down. You got Vinc Pichel looking for submission attempts, looking for sweeps, looking to get back up. I thought Madsen's striking wasn't very good in that second. I thought he was fatiguing in that second. I thought Vinc did a good job of taking over on a personal level. I scored the second round for Vinc Pichel. I think two of the scorecards afterwards ended up being 30-27, so two of the judges didn't agree anyways. But I thought at that point, momentum's going in Pichel's favor. But then Madsen's corner comes up with the winning advice, which is like, just take him down, man. Like, well, why are you striking with this guy? He's backing you up. He's going into junkyard dog mode where he'll take one punch to give one back. He's backing you up. He's throwing a nasty, heavy kick to the body. Even the low kicks are starting to add up for Vinc Pichel. Like, he's having a lot of success in that second round, in my opinion. Just take him down. So third round, that's exactly what Madsen does. Here's why I thought, my opinion, Vinc Pichel won the fight, but not the game, but the fight. It's 1-1, in my opinion, which apparently it wasn't. But the third round, like, you get taken down. I get it, and he got taken down, and Madsen did nothing with the takedown. He held him down for 3.5 minutes, 4 minutes, right? So that's what won him the round. I get that. But there's no ground and pound. There's no submission attempts. And Pichel the entire time is working. He's landing short little elbows. He's landing short little punches. He's attempting to free himself to go for a submission. He's trying to go for a triangle choke. He's trying to isolate an arm. He's trying to fish for a leg lock. He's trying to do everything he can. And Madsen is just holding him down, dude. He's just clinging on to him. The ref didn't stand him up, which I think he could have. The fans start to boo. Madsen does exactly what he has to do to get his hand raised and get his bonus money, which is completely fair. Never hold that against an athlete. Never hold that against a fighter. I get it. But it was like Vinc was the guy working, trying to fight, trying to do the damn thing. And I think Madsen was, knew, it's 1-1. I need to hold it. Even his corner was just like, it's 1-1. It might be 2-0 for him. Like, his corner's trying to get him animated. Like, dude, you need to do something. Got the takedown. And then, again, if you watch it, I don't know how many ground and pound strikes he landed in that third round, but just almost nothing. And for Vinc, it's never going to look good when you're on your back, right? I mean, you're throwing up short little elbows. You're throwing up short little punches. You're throwing up a couple submission attempts, which he's evading. You're not going to get the nod on the judges' scorecard. So if they didn't give it to him, they give it to Mark Madsen. I wouldn't complain about it. Fair enough decision. But I don't think Mark Madsen has a super high ceiling, super far career. Like, I don't know. Striking is very limited. His grappling, his wrestling is just super top notch. I shouldn't say he doesn't have a high ceiling. Like, he's obviously a freak athlete. He's obviously a world-class wrestler. He can get these takedowns, and if he works on his top control, he can have more boring-ass fights where he just takes the guy down and lays some praise on him. But for 39, Vinc Pichel, like, this is a big setback. It's a big setback only because it snaps your win streak. It does show that he has some limitations, and he did look a little tired. Like, classic Vinc Pichel just rolls through it. But at 39, fights once a year, has had a decade-long career in the UFC. Maybe he was slowing down, and that little bit of regression was enough for Madsen to go out there and get the victory. So, listen, if you're Madsen, you just keep the game going, right? You're 12-0 now. You got a victory. You're on the main card of a UFC pay-per-view, a big UFC pay-per-view. This is all good for business, and I'm sure that there's a lot more intriguing fights for him, and I'm sure there's a lot more fights that he could win. I don't know that he's going to break into the top 10 any meaningfully anyways. And then, tough setback for Pichel. Mackenzie Dern versus Tecia Torres. Tecia Torres, dog number 3 in these women's MMA match. Yeah, we know it's going to decision. It's like the other two. But we're going to be on the winning side of this one at the very least. Tecia Torres, just way more experience, better striker, keep the fight standing, have the volume. Mackenzie Dern can't wrestle, right? Anyways, I thought Tecia Torres won the first round. Like, Mackenzie Dern was being aggressive. She was coming forward. She landed some good leg kicks. She was throwing the overhand right. Her striking looked good to me, but I just thought the punch selection was in Tecia Torres' favor. I just thought she landed the better, cleaner, more significant strikes. And in my mind, not that it matters, I thought Tecia Torres won the first round. Second round, Ticia's probably going to just do this for Mackenzie Dern, more or less just pulls guard and grabs a hold of that arm and starts cranking it right away. This girl's very strong. She's very smooth. You can see how she can just transition from a Kimura to an armbar to a leg lock and everything is just tied to her game really nicely. Her wrestling is not good enough to get the fight to the ground, but the ability to just pull a guard and ensnare your opponent. Tecia can't land ground and pound because she's fighting off these submissions, right? So the entire time she's just defending. Doesn't matter that you're on top. You're just defending the entire time. They're not going to score for you. And the difference between Vinc Pichel and Mackenzie, it's not like he's deep on any submission attempt and Madsen's got to fight thing for 3 minutes. Dern looked like this thing's locked up. And a couple times it looked like Torres had to give up position to ensure that she wasn't going to get submitted. And people are gasping and thinking, oh, this is it. But credit to Tecia Torres. She's never been finished as an amateur. She's never been finished as a professional. She's extremely durable. She's trained at a world-class level for a very long time. She fought her way out of it, right? So again, in my opinion, it's 1-1. I'm thinking Mackenzie Dern's just going to do the exact same thing. I'm thinking if you know that you can just walk up, jump on somebody, like bear hug them, throw up your legs and just be in guard, and they have no option. They can't slam you down because then they're in your guard, and that's what you want, right? And they can't just stand there because they're bearing all of your weight standing up, and you can just latch onto something and attack it. Like, Dern's just going to do that again. But Torres fought the way I wanted her to fight the entirety of it, right? She just backpedaled and used her superior hand speed and footwork and just darted in and out, landed the better shots, used that side kick to keep Dern off of her, and fought a clean third round, won the third round. I would score the fight 29-28 for Tecia Torres, 1-3. But again, it's a really close fight, so I wouldn't scream robbery either way, but at least give me a little bit of good luck on this card. At least give me like one bounce. Give me one bounce on this card. No, it wasn't meant to be. Mackenzie Dern split decision. Again, fair enough. I'm not going to complain about it. I did score it for Tecia, but it wasn't like the first round was so clear that we're upset about this. Women's MMA, going to get you. Wrong with Pat Mayo's theory, just blindly betting the underdogs. I can tell you, it went 0-3. Did not work this time around. But
the NBA playoffs mean next-level basketball. Get ready for all the action by betting the play-in tournament with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can bet $5 on any team to win and get $150 in free bets instantly. You clinch a win no matter what. All DraftKings Sportsbook customers can also bet on NBA hoops with same-game parlays. Combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more money you can win. Plus, for each day of the play-in, get a risk-free bet up to $10 if your same-game parlay does not hit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code DOP. Bet $5 on any NBA team to win their game during the play-in tournament and get $150 in free bets instantly. That's promo code DOP at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
But now we've got the last three fights, the three meaningful fights. Preserve my top ticket here. Get me out of this thing alive. Take a shower because it's just been the greasiest of the grease here. And we'll Khamzat Chimaev versus Gilbert Burns. Let's start this off. Chimaev, right? This is easy enough. 6-1, 7-1 favorite. Everybody loves the guy. I do have a bad feeling about it, not because I think Burns is anything special, but just because why do we love Chimaev so much? Is it the personality? Is it the quick wins? Like what if he did get punched in the face? What if he did have to fight a few rounds? What if something did go wrong? And this Darren tilting, everyone's like, oh, he's chilling with Darren Till. Darren Till's bad news, man. Scouser, bad news. Bad news. This guy goes in, they're partying, and there's always these reports of they fought some taxi guy and they got arrested in Spain and they did some stupid stuff. They're hooligans, right? They like to have a pint, they like to do some stupid shit. Chimaev falling in with them, like, is this George St. Pierre? I want to be the best guy in the world? Because George was super strict. Like, everything was just very professional. Khabib Nurmagomedov is very, very strict, very strict. Everything's super professional. And a guy like Usman, John Jones can get away with it because he's just so goddamn good. But he had the PEDs as well. I'm sure that didn't hurt as well. With Chimaev, it's like, I don't know, man. Is he taking it as seriously as he needs to take it seriously? Well, even if he doesn't, I have faith in Gilbert Burns. So let's get this thing going. First round starts, and okay, all right. Chimaev shoots the takedown. He obviously doesn't care about Burns' grappling, but Burns' takedown defense looked pretty solid. He did an excellent job of making Chimaev work for it. Even when Khamzat got the fight to the ground, like, Burns just pops up right back right away. And then he does an excellent job of getting his leg kicks going, getting his jab going, starting to time the right hands. Khamzat's striking is not very good, but his pressure is excellent and his power is pretty good. So he can be a little bit sloppy, but he just gets in your face, and then what? You're going to try to counter, you're going to throw something back, and he's just going to close distance and club you with something. Maybe it's not the cleanest technique, but this clubbing, you'll get away with it when you got power. Power, pressure, cardio, keep on the guy. I didn't think he was winning necessarily the first round till he drops him, and he drops him with a jab. And at this point, I'm feeling a little bit cocky because it's like, there you go. Burns getting dropped by a jab again. I told you this guy wasn't for real. Dropped by the jab against Usman. He starts fast. We all know what he did in this fight. And now he's just going to accept this ground position and probably get TKO'd. Chimaev falls into the ground. He splits his head open with an elbow. And Gilbert Burns, he gets his guard back. He ties him up. He saves himself and ends the first round. You're feeling good about it. But Burns had a lot of good spots in that first round still. And I think everybody at this point, just one round in, realizes Chimaev's good, but perhaps not great. Like, he's been talking about how he's going to fight Usman and Leon Edwards in the same night. But now I'm thinking not happening, right? Beforehand, maybe he's talking about fighting Israel Adesanya up a weight class. And before the fight, you're thinking like, dude, this guy's, but now I'm thinking, this guy's good, but perhaps not great. Colby Covington, at least from what I saw last night from Chimaev, I think Colby beats him, right? Colby showed better wrestling, better striking, better pace, better volume, better everything, really. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I think after one single round, even though Chimaev just dropped Burns and split his head open with a fat elbow, it's like maybe this guy's a little bit limited. And then in the second round, much of the same. See, his problem was for a guy that's, relies on giving a little bit of technique away to just be at forward pressure guy. His volume wasn't quite there. He'd have these lulls of inactivity where he might not throw a strike for a minute. And for Burns, it was allowing Burns to just catch a breath and then throw a couple strikes. When Chimaev would eventually say, okay, I got to put hands on this guy, he'd move forward, he'd throw a 3-4 punch combination, and Burns every time would wait for the third or fourth punch to end and then counter back hard. So he splits him in the second round with one of those hard counters. It's a right hand, kind of wobbles Chimaev. Chimaev falls to the ground. Burns actually tries to soccer kick him in the face. It would have been an illegal technique, but it missed. Doesn't matter. We got to give credit to Burns. Like, he looked tired in the second round, but he sat down on his punches and he outworked him. So, I think Gilbert Burns wins the second round. Now we got a 1-1. Now you're really not feeling particularly good about Chimaev. But Burns is gas, and Chimaev looks like he's in good shape. Could he have gone hard for 5? Well, I don't know. But he was ready to go hard for 3. The guy's talked a lot of shit. He's talked a big game. It's time to back it up. And his cornerman, whoever it was, they want a translator. I want a translator too. That guy wasn't playing, dude. He was like, you need to go in there and you need to get the job done. Chimaev did what he had to do. Goes in the third round. It's a banger of a fight. This is a very, very good fight. Paul Felder said it was the best fight he ever commentated. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I also don't know all the fights that Paul has commentated on personally. So if that's the way he feels, then could be. But I think it was more so you had a guy that was billed as unbeatable, indestructible, just a total savage monster. And he looked superhuman, right? So was the fight good? It was great. It was excellent. It's an excellent fight. Was it one of the best fights you've ever seen? Well, I think part of that was because of the storyline, because there was some great storyline here. And for Burns, he did an excellent job. I had this guy half written off. He's getting a little bit older. He doesn't wear a punch particularly well. His wrestling's not good enough to get this fight to the ground. So what's he going to do? Striking looked good. His cardio looked solid. The guy's heart was on display, and his face got beat up pretty good. Again, excellent fight. Chimaev's stock goes up because this is a legitimate win, and now you can see he can go 15 minutes. So this is all good. Ring experience, not a bad thing. And I think he realized when you see him at the press conference, I think he realized, I didn't really take this all that seriously. I just thought I was going to smash this guy. I thought I was going to fight Usman and Leon Edwards in the same night and then move up and fight Israel Adesanya at 185 pounds. Like, this guy's he's overthinking it. He's thinking a little too far ahead maybe. And I think even though he gets the win here, it's still humbling, still a humbling experience. So this should be good for Chimaev in the long run, getting a good performance like that. And for Burns, pay the guy his money. Dana said he was going to give the guy his win bonus still. Totally agree. Like, he went out there and put it all on the line, and there's a lot more interesting fights for him at 170 pounds. He's obviously willing to fight anybody, and he's probably equipped to give anybody a tough fight. He's got world-class striking. He's got world-class grappling. His wrestling still needs to be improved on. And in a 5-round fight, I don't think his cardio is going to hold up. Really, I don't think it was. But this is a 3-round fight. The guy's got heart for 3 rounds, and that'll carry him more often than not. So, yeah, good promising future still ahead for Gilbert Burns, and I think a good promising future for Khamzat Chimaev. But, we need 3 key guys on this parlay to get us out of this night alive, and Chimaev made it a very greasy one. So, grease just to start out. Aljamain Sterling versus Peter Yan. Again, I think I knew this one was going to be closer. On the preview show with Paul, I mentioned that I didn't want to put Yan on the top ticket. Here's the issue. Who else do you put on the top ticket? Like, I could have gone Volkanovski, Chimaev, Ian Garry, but did you want Ian Garry on the top ticket? Like, I didn't. So in hindsight, I know. In hindsight, it should have been Volkanovski, Chimaev, Mike Malott. I thought Mike Malott might get clipped. Vanderaa I had way too high up. I knew I couldn't put him on a top ticket, but like, there was nobody else. So I had to bite the bullet and put Peter Yan on the top ticket with the other 2 big favorites. Again, I think he's going to win. I thought the fight was going to be a little bit greasier, a little bit tighter. And I had mentioned that Aljamain Sterling could win this fight if he makes it real boring, right? Don't engage this guy. Don't have a war. Don't have some crazy grueling affair where you're shooting multiple takedowns and you got to strike in the pocket and you're moving and you're throwing head kicks and like the first fight, throwing all those strikes in the first round, just that jab being on display over and over, that's tiring. But if Aljamain fought a smart game plan where he basically half ran away and just took his time and exposed him in spots, he could win like a tight decision. Shout out to Clint because he hit me up with this like prop, and it was Aljamain Sterling by split or majority or a draw. It was like plus 2,800, right? So it was like, oh shit, if Aljo wins, it's probably not going to be clear cut. But he's going to have to fight the proper game plan. And that's what he did. So obviously the debate is whether Aljamain won or whether you think Sterling, well, obviously Sterling won the fight, but whether you think Yan won or Sterling won. But there's a lot of ways to look at it. So the first round is the one that's in debate, right? Because the rest of the rounds are a little clearer. But the first round, you got Aljamain Sterling outstriking him by the numbers. And then you got Yan, I thought, landing the better shots. Like, Yan was backing him up. I get that's part of this game plan is you're not just going to stand in the middle of the ring with this guy. You're going to have to move. So obviously Sterling can be on his back foot. But whenever he lands something, it's just like a quick little jab, a quick little leg kick. It's something up the middle really quick so that he can get out of dodge. Whereas like Yan's the guy that's backing him up. Yan stuffed all of his takedowns, which I think you have to score towards Yan. Okay, he's takedown defense has got to score you something when you stop something, right? And then he's landing the better strikes. He's backing him up. So as far as I'm concerned, he's got the pressure, he's got the better strikes landed, and he's stuffed the takedown. So it would be his round. It's just like by no means a runaway round. But if you want to score for Aljo, well, he outlanded him like 19-11 in the first round. So he doubled him up essentially in the striking numbers and fought a really smart game plan. You can score the round either way. The second round, though, Aljo dominates him. Like, he got his back right away. As soon as he got it, put his body triangle in, and nothing really happens for, say, the first 90 seconds. Like, it's not, or 3.5 minutes, sorry, not 90 seconds, 3.5 minutes. Nothing really happens. I think it's very much just a 10-9 Aljamain Sterling round. But that last, like, 90 seconds, maybe even 2 minutes, like, Aljo put it on him, man. He was beating him up. He's fishing for a couple deep submission attempts. Now he's been on your back for 4.5 minutes, full control, right? You've done absolutely nothing to get out of this position. He's landed some really nice ground and pound. He's like quadrupled, times 5 you. Sterling's got it's like 26-4 or 23-4 or something in the striking numbers for the round and the submission attempts. Is that not a 10-8 round? Is that not a 10-8 round for Aljamain Sterling? But again, I say no, because it's a championship fight. Like, I get when you beat up some scrub, he's taking a beating. Sure, it's a 10-8 round. And in this spot, it's like Sterling has not almost finished Yan. Yan is not hurt. Yan is not phased. Yan is not almost submitted unconscious. You took his back. You won the round. But I wouldn't be inclined to say that it was a near finish. No near finish. No damage. Wasn't like his head split open and there's blood everywhere and he's looking for a way out. Not a 10-8 round, right? Dominant round. But not a 10-8 round. So I got a 1-1. Apparently it's 2-0 Sterling, but I got a 1-1. Third round, it's much of the same. Like Yan starts off well, and his corner had explicitly told him between rounds, like, don't give up your back in these scrambles. But again, his problem was he was so programmed that as soon as Sterling shoots the takedown, stuff. You go to wrestle mode, go to wrestle mode, go to wrestle mode. And if you do get taken down, up right away. And the quickest way to get back up oftentimes involves giving up your back. And Sterling is just way too smooth, way too slick. The second he would see that back, he's got long limbs, right? Long legs. He's a flexible guy. He would just be able to put one hook in, put the other. As soon as he's got two hooks, it's a transition to a body triangle. And as everybody knows, once that body triangle's in, you're not likely going anywhere. So the third round's not nearly as dominant, right? I'm actually pretty sure Piera outstruck Sterling in the third round, like 9-8 or something stupid. But it's another 3.5 minutes of Sterling on your back. So very clearly 10-8. This thing's 2-1 for Sterling in my books. But there is that argument, certainly, that it's 3-0 Sterling. So I need to finish out of Peter Yan, okay? I think he can win 4th and 5th round and get given the decision. That's what I believe. But, we don't want it to go to that. We need to finish here. We need to go out there and put pressure. At the very least, he might have got a 10-8. We need to get a 10-8 back. So 4th round, he stuffs a takedown. He starts to land some strikes, lands a nice little left hand. He throws a knee, legal knee, right up the gut, right up the middle. That misses Sterling's face by like an inch, maybe a half an inch. Would have knocked him cold. He's putting on the pressure. He's landing some kicks. He's backing him up. He's having his way. He hurts his leg. He shoots a takedown. Shoots a takedown on Sterling. Kind of gets it, right? Got Sterling on all fours, and he's wrestling. And I can't quite figure it out. He must think he won the first round. Must. Because you've got this guy hurt standing. You're a far better striker than him. And now you're going to kill a minute and a half, 2 minutes off the clock by just and Sterling, brilliant. You just trap the hands, just 2-on-1 if you have to, but if not, he would just trap both hands and hold and wait and kill time off the clock because he's up 3-0. He knows it, I guess. His corner knows it. Just survive. And Yan, who's beating him up fairly clean standing, opts to engage in the strike or in the grappling. Bad move, but we still got one more round. One more round comes out. Sterling or Yan, same stuff. He's backing him up. He's landing the strikes. He's hurting him. He does an excellent job. He smacks him with a beautiful leg kick. Sterling falls to the ground. Yan engages him in the grappling. And what does Sterling do? He just goes to a neutral position, holds on, kills the clock. I think it was bum move by Peter Yan to not just back up. Don't follow him to the ground. You're not going to TKO him. You're not going to submit him on the ground. He's clean. He's grappling. And he's just neutralizing you. He's just holding on, killing the clock. You need to just back up and stay standing and then bum rush him with 3 or 4 punches and back up, throw knees, throw kicks, throw strikes. You need to brutalize him and search for a finish or a 10-8 round. But now he was content. He was content on just winning the 4th round and winning the 5th round because he thought he won the first, but he didn't. And the judges gave it to Aljamain Sterling. And, I scored it 3-2 Peter Yan with an argument that Sterling could have won a 10-8 second round, which would make it a draw. And I see the fight could be a draw, and I see it could be scored for Sterling because of that first round. So I'm not going to scream robbery. It hurt. That hurt. Hurt loss because it's just been a bad card for me at this point. But now your top ticket is burnt. You got a couple wins, but who cares about those, man? You got crushed. And this was just like insult to injury. We didn't get the other split decision with Mackenzie Dern, a fight that I thought Tecia Torres had won. We didn't get that bounce. We didn't get this bounce. The difference is this one obviously was high stakes, meant a lot more. And it is what it is. I can't discredit Aljamain Sterling. He'd be the least popular UFC champion of all times at this point because the first fight with Yan, no one thinks he's won. Yan was going to win the fight, and then an illegal knee. Maybe he wanted out. Maybe he was actually blasted by a dirty illegal knee on the ground. Who knows? But people were already mad about that. And then this fight, right? Aljo didn't fight all that entertaining. He fought a very smart game plan, but it revolved around clinging onto the guy's back for 10 minutes, which is smart, and then kind of just trying to matador him a little bit standing and moving around, which is also smart. But I don't think he made any new fans with some great performance. If he did lose the first round, he lost the 4th and the 5th. You never want to be a champion who got your ass beat for the last 10 minutes of the fight, and you won? How'd you win? Well, I got my ass beat the last 2 rounds, but I banked up the first 15 minutes. Like, dude, if this was Pride, and everybody loves Pride, they'd score it as one whole fight. And one whole fight, if this was high school, like we'd always watch a fight behind the bike rack, go back to class, right? You wouldn't be like, Dude, I think John won because, he was beating him that first couple minutes. It'd be like, yeah. And then Howie beat the crap out of him for the last few minutes. They weren't fighting for 25 minutes. So I'm trying to kill the time frame here, right? But it's how you finish. It's how you finish. Unfortunately, point-based system. I get that. Point-based system suggests that Aljamain Sterling probably did enough to win the points battle. And so I can't scream robbery and I can't get too upset about it, right? I knew it was going to be a close fight, but I rostered Jan. And I'm not ashamed of rostering Jan. I think pound for pound, he's one of the best guys. But ring IQ is so unbelievably underrated. And with Aljamain Sterling training with Ray Longo and Matt Serra, some of the best coaches in the game, they put together the proper game plan. What I'd like to see now is I'd actually like to see Aljamain Sterling fight TJ Dillashaw. I think Dillashaw needs a fight. There's not really much for him in the division. Deserves another title fight because he was the former champion, and I thought he was a hell of a champion back when he had the title. They like calling him the juice guy and blah, 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 blah. Give him the fight. Be a fun fight. I'm not certain. I think Aljamain Sterling's so unbelievable that he's just going to beat everybody. I think Dillashaw's live in a fight with him. Aljo wants to fight. It's a little bit fresher, something new. Let's do it. Let's do that. And then I'd like to see Peter Yan versus Merab Dvalishvili at 135 pounds. He's a training partner of Aljamain Sterling. There's a lot of talk between this camp and your camp and this and that. And I think Yan needs to bounce back. If he was to go out there and win over a friend and training partner of Aljo, helps the storyline, helps them get back into that third fight. I think we all want to see the third fight. But it's something fresh, and then Aljamain Sterling gets to go out there and fight TJ Dillashaw, which is another excellent fight. And then hopefully, they meet up again down the road. And then for Merab, like, dude, if Aljo can create enough of a takedown to put this guy in bad position and then ground him and grapple him from bad positions, hey man, Merab can wrestle with anybody on any given night. The guy's just an absolute beast of a man. And Peter Yan, I think he's as billed as advertised. Like, I think he probably stops more often than not and then lands those strikes standing, but what can you do, dude? MMA is a bitch. But I'll tell you why it's the best sport in the world. Because boxing, it's just like, oh, you can't outbox a guy, you're screwed, right? Jiu-jitsu, it's like, yeah, the guy's got better jiu-jitsu than you, yeah, you're screwed, right? Wrestling, the guy's just such a beast, yeah, can't wrestle. MMA is just so beautiful because, like, you can just figure out that one path where it's like, yeah, this guy kicked my ass standing, and yeah, I can't wrestle with him, but I'm just going to pull guard like Mackenzie Dern. There's always a way. There's always a way. You just got to be smart enough to find the way. This was the way. I knew it was possible. I still took you on. So anyways, Volkanovski inside the distance would have been a great read to end the night. It was just such a bad night. Oh my God. But anyways, Volkanovski looked the goods. He was obviously the most confident guy that anybody had. Because again, we talked about this. Jan, there was as a slow starter, usually gives up rounds. He got outstruck by Corey Sandhagen in 4 of the 5 rounds, so he's not the most volume. There's things that you didn't love, right? Chimaev, I never really seen him get caught clean. I never seen him have to fight in a second or a third round. There's things he didn't love. Volkanovski, complete package. You've seen it all. You've seen it all. You've seen him get hit. You've seen him get tagged. You've seen him drop rounds. You've seen him make the adjustments. He's got excellent striking. He's got excellent wrestling. He's got excellent cardio. He's got excellent resilience. I will admit, he did look short in there. Like, I know he's talking about a move to 55. And I think the guy's so talented, he could do whatever he pleases. And I know he used to be a rugby player, like 210 pounds. So I'm sure the frame could handle the extra weight. But he was coming up short on a lot of the shots against Korean Zombie early. And then it's 2.5 minutes into the first round, and Zombie's face looks wrecked. And mind you, Volkanovski is missing a lot of his shots. But this guy has some power, boy. Maybe not the kind of power that's just going to shut the lights off right away and just knock you completely unconscious, but the kind of power that, like, you feel it when he hits you, and it leaves visible damage. And Brian Ortega took an absolutely life-changing beating. And I think we all got the impression that Korean Zombie was in for a pretty big beating himself, but that's why they called him the Zombie. He'd been in these spots before. Maybe he can take it. But with Volkanovski, even if you can take it, it's that he's not going anywhere. He's not just going to suddenly stop. He's not suddenly just going to get tired and be like, nah, I'm going to stop doing this. It's just like a consecutive beating over and over. And I think they did a good job of monitoring the situation the longer the fight went, that Zombie's not going to quit. Zombie's corner is willing to let him die tonight, so they're not going to quit for him. Well, if he takes too many clean shots, like, at some point, you're just going to have to stop it. Again, his face just progressively got worse and worse. He landed a couple shots here and there, but at no point was he ever in the fight. He just took a sustained beating into the 4th round when they eventually stopped it while he's still on his feet. He can't complain about the stoppage because it wasn't getting any better. And I get the idea of, letting these people go out on their shields and letting them fight on. But like, the guy's had a long career. He's 35 years old, I believe. There's still some more fun fights for him. He can still go out there and beat a vast majority of this division and headline some fight night cards and not make a title run, but be within the division, right? Have some relevance. Or you can let the guy fight for another 7 minutes and maybe never be the same, because Volkanovski had it set in his mind, I'm an 8-1 favorite. I'm fighting the number 5 guy in the world. I need to put a statement on it. I need to have a finish. So he was going to go hard the entire time till he got it. Zombie was not going to crumple over, perhaps, because his heart's just too damn big. So good call by the referee. But yeah, again, what is this? This is one small victory and an absolute landmine card. So got blown up pretty bad. Not the result that we wanted, especially because it's a big UFC 273 pay-per-view. It's pay-per-view, it's action. People love the big fights, get involved. I know a couple of people have reached out to be like, oh, well, you got screwed because of the Peter Yan situation. But I didn't. It was a close fight. It was a greasy fight. There was just no other spots that I liked more than that one. Chimaev, Volkanovski. Those guys should have all came through. Didn't. But I think, did they mention at the top of the broadcast somebody put 200 grand on that as a parlay? Hope they weren't tailing me. I got my ass kicked pretty good, but 200 grand, like, you'd have to be in Vegas. No online sportsbook would take that. No online sportsbook would take a $200,000 bet. I'm pretty certain of that. You'd have to be on the strip and walk into a casino and place it down. And at that point, they would have given you like minus 170 odds, minus 175 odds. So like, it wasn't even that good of a bet. I think I'm probably still going to walk away with 125 grand, but I can't laugh. I got crushed too. And if you're watching this and you got crushed as well, which we're probably all in the same boat, yeah, that just sucks, man. It sucks. Luckily for us, right? And I'm not going to say luckily for us, there's another UFC next weekend. Luckily for us, there's a Bellator next weekend, right? We've had better results at the Bellator a lot of the time. Hopefully they can get us going. So anyways, I hope this one wasn't so bad. Wish it was definitely a lot happier of a recap. But again, these things are going to happen, right? You're going to have some bad nights, and you might even hit a cold streak where you're going to have a few bad nights. I'm hoping this is not the case. I'm going to hit that shoe with Paul on Wednesday. Hopefully clear the bad juju in the air, and then hopefully get back to our profitable ways. But regardless, the fights were good, so we're fight fans. It was a good night, right? Anyways, catch you guys later. Good luck.